Everything-bagel liberalism. This is an idea by Ezra Klein, a columnist for the New York Times, where he says that progressives and liberals and Democrats, when they create public policy, they have this tendency to layer their objectives on top of each other. So what they do is when they have a policy to put in place, they will pick all sorts of other progressive ideas and layer it on top of it. And as a result, the policy itself becomes either more expensive or delayed or just never occurs. So a good example of this is housing development. A city will say that they want to build more affordable housing. But in doing so, what they'll do is they'll require union labor or minority and women-owned businesses to be the contractors. They'll have high environmental standards. They will get immense community input. And all of those things are good goals. But when they're layered on top of each other, the housing itself either is far more expensive or far slower to roll out, or it just never gets built. Another good example of this is the CHIPS Act. So this was the Biden administration law to increase production of semiconductors in the United States for national security reasons. The United States does not want to rely as much on Asia for its semiconductor production, and so we want to bring that production here in the US for good jobs. In doing so, the law also requires high levels of community input, environmental regulations, and high labor practice standards. Now, all of these things are good, and progressives are on board with all of these aspirations. But when it's layered on top of each other, the implementation is far harder to achieve. The implementation seems to be the problem. Progressives will allocate funds and pass laws to achieve things, but then implementing them ends up being very challenging. Ezra Klein says that it's important that when Democrats and progressives and liberals pass laws, that they prioritize and streamline the actual objectives they have. If the goal is semiconductor production, that needs to be the only goal of the law. If the goal is affordable housing, that needs to be the priority of the goal. Layering progressive aspirations on top of each other just makes implementation so much harder.